Nobody expected this. Not this year, and honestly, not ever.
NVIDIA's chips are hugely expensive.
4,000 times increase in performance in 6 years.
You know, NVIDIA started out as a graphics chip company, and over time we became a computing platform company.
After becoming the most powerful chip maker on the planet and the undisputed leader of the AI boom, NVIDIA suddenly announced something nobody saw coming: a smartphone. The tech world didn't just react, it exploded. The moment the announcement dropped, Twitter, Reddit, and every major tech forum lit up instantly. People weren't confused, they were stunned. Comments poured in. Why is NVIDIA making a phone? Who even asked for this? This is going to flop harder than every gaming phone combined. But the loudest reactions came from iPhone users, instantly mocking the idea, confident Apple would never be threatened. The memes started immediately. We're not worried. Wake us up when NVIDIA figures out iMessage. Cute idea, but it won't touch the iPhone. But behind the memes and the chaos, there's a much bigger question that everybody is asking. Why is NVIDIA building a phone? What do they see that everyone else is missing? And more importantly, is NVIDIA making a huge mistake? In this video, we're going to break down the truth behind NVIDIA's shocking decision, the real strategy, the hidden risks, and whether this move could reshape the entire mobile industry or become one of the biggest tech failures of the decade. To understand why NVIDIA is suddenly entering the smartphone market, you need to understand one thing. This company has an identity problem, not a small one, a massive one. For the last decade, NVIDIA has been known for one thing above everything else: GPUs. They dominate gaming GPUs. They dominate data center GPUs. They dominate AI GPUs so completely that entire nations are trying to stockpile them. NVIDIA became the most valuable chip maker in history because the world decided AI was the future, and Jensen Huang was the only CEO prepared for it. But here's the problem: when a company becomes this successful in one category, it eventually hits a ceiling. Investors start asking the same question: hey, where do you grow next? And inside NVIDIA, people have been asking that same uncomfortable question for years. Because even though NVIDIA looks invincible today, their attempts at building consumer hardware in the past were far from successful. The NVIDIA Shield Portable, a weird handheld Android gaming device, arrived with hype, but almost no real market. The Shield tablet, powerful for its time, never broke mainstream adoption. Even the Shield TV, despite being loved by a loyal fan base, stayed a niche streaming box for tech enthusiasts. These weren't disastrous products. In fact, people who owned them loved them. But they never became the iPhone. They never became the iPad. They never created an ecosystem, and that's the key word. NVIDIA has watched Apple build the world's most profitable closed ecosystem. They've watched Google control the Android ecosystem. They've watched Qualcomm dominate mobile chips. And meanwhile, NVIDIA remained stuck as the GPU company. But the world is changing again. Just like PCs weren't the final computing platform, and smartphones weren't the final platform, analysts are predicting the next trillion-dollar battlefield will be mobile AI computing. AI assistants, on-device LLMs, edge AI processing, real-time translation, persistent AI companions running locally on your phone. This is not a future dominated by PCs, it's a future dominated by the device you keep in your pocket every day. And NVIDIA knows something crucial. If they don't get a foothold in the mobile computing world now, Apple and Google will lock down the entire AI future for themselves. So NVIDIA wants a phone for three very specific reasons. Number one, they want a mobile AI platform. A device built specifically for running on-device LLMs, AI assistants, and real-time generative models. Number two, they want a cloud gaming gateway powered by GeForce Now, essentially the dream of turning every NVIDIA phone into a portable high-end gaming system without needing powerful hardware inside. And number three, they want a direct shot at the one thing they've never had: an ecosystem, a walled garden, a platform they control end-to-end, just like Apple. Something that ties NVIDIA's cloud services, AI tools, gaming platform, and software into one tight loop. This phone isn't about beating Samsung. It isn't about taking down Xiaomi. It isn't even directly about beating iPhone. It's about building the foundation of the next era of computing before someone else does. Whether that's visionary or reckless, that's what the rest of this story will reveal. If you think NVIDIA just waltzing into smartphones is going to be easy, think again. The smartphone market is one of the most unforgiving arenas in tech history. Apple and Samsung aren't just competitors, they're walled cities, complete ecosystems, complete control over hardware, software, and most importantly, customer loyalty. Google tried to crack this market with Pixel. Huge resources, brilliant engineers, massive brand recognition, and yet, Pixel remains a niche product, loved by enthusiasts, ignored by the mainstream. NVIDIA isn't the first company to try and make a dent. History is littered with failures. HTC, Once a titan of Android phones, now a footnote. LG, innovative, sometimes brilliant, but eventually disappeared from the market. BlackBerry, a loyal corporate base, but couldn't survive the iPhone tidal wave. Sony, still making phones but fading fast, never really owning mindshare. Here's the kicker. Mobile gamers aren't loyal in the same way PC or console gamers are. Your friends might swear by NVIDIA GPUs for years, but when it comes to phones, they switch brands like socks. That's the challenge NVIDIA faces. They're trying to enter a market where the top two players control nearly everything. Deep pockets and tech brilliance aren't enough. Brand loyalty is fleeting, especially for gaming. This is why every rumor, every prototype, every press release from NVIDIA about a phone should be taken with a grain of skepticism. The smartphone arena doesn't reward ambition alone, it punishes the unprepared, and yet, there's something in NVIDIA's DNA that might just give them a fighting chance. If you're wondering why iPhones feel impossible to beat, it all comes down to one word: ecosystem. Apple didn't just sell a phone, they sold a world, a universe where every device, every service, every app works seamlessly together. And once you're inside, it's almost impossible to leave. Think about it. iMessage lock-in. It's not just texting. It's a reason millions refuse to switch. Green bubbles equals pain. AirDrop and FaceTime. Effortless sharing. Effortless communication. Try leaving that behind and suddenly every convenience disappears. App ecosystem. Developers optimize for iOS first, meaning iPhone users often get the best apps, updates, and experiences before anyone else. Now imagine NVIDIA trying to compete in that environment. Their phone will likely run Android, and that's both a blessing and a curse. Android gives flexibility, yes, and it opens the door for NVIDIA's AI and gaming ambitions, but it also means fighting years of entrenched habits, millions of existing app choices, and Google's invisible hand guiding the user experience. Even Samsung, with all its resources, brilliant hardware, and aggressive marketing, hasn't managed to fully topple Apple. Why? Because loyalty isn't just about specs, it's about habit, integration, and the little annoyances users avoid by staying inside one ecosystem. NVIDIA is entering a battlefield where the enemy isn't just hardware, it's every convenience, every habit, every lock-in that keeps users loyal to their current phone. This is the first real problem they need to solve, and it's arguably the hardest. Even if NVIDIA solves the ecosystem problem, there's another harsh reality. Their audience is tiny. Who is this phone really for? Gamers, the obvious choice. But here's the thing. Mobile gamers aren't looking for cutting-edge hardware. They want cheap phones that can run Fortnite or Genshin Impact without draining their wallets. High-end gaming specs? Overkill. Cloud gaming users, NVIDIA's GeForce Now integration is brilliant on paper, but it's still a niche. Not everyone has fast Wi-Fi, a subscription, or the patience to game in the cloud. AI enthusiasts, they'll drool over on-device LLMs and AI assistants, sure, but that's an even smaller segment of the already niche tech crowd. The truth is, high-end gamers stick to PCs, laptops, desktops, consoles. That's where the real gaming action is. Mobile is mostly casual, and casual doesn't pay NVIDIA prices. So even if this phone is technically amazing, NVIDIA has a classic problem: market mismatch. The people who would appreciate it most aren't enough to make it a mainstream hit, and the mainstream won't care enough to buy it. It's a tiny island in a vast ocean of smartphone users. A bold move, but also a risky one. NVIDIA dominates GPUs. In gaming PCs, data centers, and AI servers, their chips are basically untouchable. But here's the brutal truth. The dominance doesn't automatically translate to smartphones. Mobile devices face limits that desktop or server hardware never do. For starters, heat. Crank a phone GPU hard and suddenly your pocket feels like a toaster. iPhones and even standard Androids manage heat through efficiency, throttling, and clever design. NVIDIA can't just slap a desktop-class GPU into a phone without consequences. Then there's battery life. High-performance GPUs drain energy fast. PCs can handle this with huge power supplies, but a phone? You're limited by a battery you can fit in your pocket. Mobile gamers want hours of play, not 30 minutes before everything shuts down. Android phones historically struggle more with heat and efficiency compared to iPhones. iOS devices are optimized end-to-end. Software, hardware, and thermal management work together seamlessly. NVIDIA would need to replicate that level of integration. A tall order for a company used to plugging GPUs into other people's ecosystems. Mobile hardware is capped by physics, pocket size. You can't make the phone bigger than a hand. Thermal dissipation. Heat has nowhere to go. Even other companies have learned this the hard way. Look at gaming phones like the ROG phone or Lenovo's Legion phone. They were impressive on paper, but neither broke into mainstream success. High-end hardware alone isn't enough to win mobile. NVIDIA might make a phone that's technically insane, but in the real world, hardware isn't the whole battle. Battery, heat, and real-world usability are just as important, and that's where most gaming phones fail. Let's be honest, if NVIDIA wants to compete with the iPhone, they're walking uphill in the dark. Apple's advantage isn't just hardware, it's ecosystem dominance. Every iPhone, iPad, Mac, and Apple Watch is tied together. Every service, every app, every accessory works seamlessly. Users know exactly what to expect every single year. Predictable performance, reliable updates, and integration that rivals can't touch. NVIDIA, on the other hand, lacks the core pillars that make the iPhone special. No iOS, they're building on Android, an open system with fragmented devices and updates. No App Store control. Developers optimize for iOS first because that's where the money is. NVIDIA would be asking them to care about a brand new platform with uncertain adoption. No hardware-software integration. Apple's advantage is the way every component is designed to work together. NVIDIA is strong in GPUs, yes, but phones are about balance, power, efficiency, heat, and software working as one. Benchmarks might look impressive on paper. A demo of AI models running locally or a cloud gaming session streamed at 120 frames per second might wow tech enthusiasts, but real-world performance matters more. Battery life, app compatibility, stability, and long-term reliability, that's where most Android challengers fall short, and that's exactly why iPhone users are laughing. Another Android gaming phone? Seen it, played it, moved on. We've seen this story before. High-end hardware, niche audience, ultimately no ecosystem lock-in, no mass adoption. NVIDIA might build a technically incredible device, but compared directly to Apple, it's not just a question of specs, it's a question of why anyone would switch.